Viewers like you make this program possible. Support your local PBS station.
Whoa, this is the good stuff. Yeah. This is tongue taco?
Mm-hmm. Tongue taco.
Yeah, tongue, yeah.
So.
Oh, these are beautiful. These
awesome.
Are great.
They're good?
This is so good. Oh, my God. Oh, my God, it's good. Oh, wow. This is amazing. This is like a 3-star Michelin dish, this one. I mean, think about it.
Yep.
The preparation, the texture of the tortilla. We just take it for granted because it's affordable.
Yeah, right.
If this would be $100, it would still be value for money. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know how messed up that is?
Yeah. But the good thing about that, it is cheap, and it is here.
Yeah, no, I'm not suggesting raising the prices. I'm just saying this is gold right in front of you. You know? And you guys value it because it's here. It's in your neighborhood. I feel like the Mexican community in America is what made America taste great again, right? So they should have a big thank you. You take away the Mexican-American community in this country, our food does not taste good. You just that's hands down. And every chef that I ever worked with would agree with that. So.
I agree with that too. You know, I mean, what would it taste like? I have no idea.
No idea.
Hard shell tacos are not that tasty, but I would eat them sometimes. You don't like that.
Oh my God. I'm Chef Marcus Samuelsson, and as an immigrant born in Ethiopia and raised in Sweden, food to me has always told a deeper, more personal story. It's a path to culture, identity, and history. Now it's a party. I'm going across the country to learn more about America's immigrant communities and culinary traditions, to see how food connects us all across the United States. Chicago is an amazing food city. It's actually one of the best in the country. It's also the home of some of the best chefs ever in this country. The James Beard Awards hold its big awards there, which is really the Oscars of the food world. There's also a really cool emerging Mexican food movement that is really creating dishes at the highest level. Mexican food is very often thought of in this country as inexpensive fast food, just road food that we have learned to love. But there's a whole new generation of Mexican chefs that really are putting a new value proposition of what Mexican-American food can and should be. I was surprised to know that almost 2 million Mexican-Americans call Chicago home. Mexicans have been coming to Chicago for over 100 years to find work and contribute tremendously to this incredible city. They have created tight-knit communities in areas such as Little Village, Back of the Yard, and Pilsen, which is really considered the heart of the Latino community today. But it's a really challenging time for the Mexican-American community today, from building the wall, to ICE raids, to ending DACA. These policies are threatening the people, the culture, and the food scene, but not only throughout Chicago, but actually throughout the whole country. The restaurant and hospitality industry, without the Mexican contribution, the Mexican laborer, would collapse. That's how vital the Mexican-American community is in America. This is a lovely spot.
It's not my place, but you're always welcome.
Well, we're in
Yeah.
You picked it, so.
Yeah, I picked it. It's a favorite.
So we're talking about a convenience store, a butcher shop, a bar, and a taqueria all in one.
All in one. You couldn't get any better than
In
that.
Hotel California, you can never leave, right?
Exactly.
My buddy Juan is an artist in the south side of Chicago.
I had different ideas that I've explored through my work. Adaptation is one of them. In Chicago, you constantly have to adapt to different communities and different situations. I go around looking for materials all throughout the city, in alleyways, abandoned buildings, flea markets. I love materials of triumph, direction, and I love materials of failure. So I utilize these materials to create installations that sort of make a connection to the viewer, that there is something more here to meets the eye.
You were born in Mexico, right?
Yeah, I was born there.
What region?
I was born in northern Mexico in the state of Chihuahua.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was the food you grew up with in Chihuahua?
Well, Chihuahua is a place of lots of meat. It goes with the agricultural parts of it. So it's, wheats and meats and cattle ranching and all that. The way they grill beef is differently in every state because, every state has their own methods. So the way that I grew up, everyday food had a lot to do with meat.
Hey, how are you, man?
Oh, man.
What do we got? Explain to me what we got.
So, Cecina, this is like beef jerky tacos,
Yeah.
in a way. And I really like that this one is complemented with beans in it, which I never seen that before in a taco, right? That's really good. You tell me what you think.
Oh, it's so delicious. This is the perfect bite because it's strong meat. You have some avocado. You have some corn
Right.
tortillas.
You have everything.
Really, really delicious. Exactly. You have everything in one bite.
Yeah. This is Cecina. It doesn't even taste like beef jerky. It doesn't even feel like beef jerky. And I don't know how they reconstituted to get that.
And this is really also a preserving technique, right?
Right.
Because it's been air dried and some spices on it.
Right. Exactly. I mean, that's the old way of cooking.
Oh, you got more?
Oh, my favorite.
Nice.
I love this stuff.
The texture of cactus is so great. It's like so slimy and good, man.
And it's so good for you.
Oh, it's healthy?
Oh, yeah, of course it's healthy. It's green.
Yeah. So you're talking about this is the new kale? This is the new Brussels sprout?
It is the new kale, you know.
Of course.
Yeah, I loved it as a kid, and growing up in northern Mexico, you have this a lot.
It has that okra sliminess.
Uh-huh.
But
That's
now
true.
it also has that sophistication almost of a French bean or something like that, right? I love it. It's great.
These are great. These are grilled.
So you're in the ranch, at home, learning a craft, and you're a country boy. And then you come into this massive, big city, urban Chicago. That must have been a culture shock.
The culture was different, definitely. I mean, if you can imagine, I came here in the winter of '85, maybe it was like going on '86.
Yeah.
I show up to 7th grade, right? wearing a nice cowboy shirt with the snap buttons, pearlized buttons, and tight Wranglers and cowboy boots. And it was and everybody is it's Chicago in '86.
Dude, that's my look. That's my look.
And everybody's wearing parachute pants, breakdancing, or if not that, they're looking like Michael Jackson, Thriller. So it was like an immediate culture shock. Like, who the hell is this kid?
Who is this kid?
And then, adaptation was rough. Chicago was rough. Trying to adapt to here, I found kids on my block that were skateboarding. And I was like, hey, I can do that.
Yeah.
And it sort of opened up the whole new avenue for me.
Yeah. Juan and I are touring the Stockyard District, which was essential for the first generation of Mexican Americans coming to Chicago, working in industries like meat packing.
If you were an immigrant, you came to this community in Chicago. You came to this area. And so historically, Canaryville is mostly Irish. And it still remains that way. Bridgeport is Italian and Irish, and now Chinese. And then you have Englewood, this African American. The back of the yards is very much Mexican.
Yeah.
And then we see that point over there, that's the entrance to the stockyards, the eastern entrance.
Cool.
All that area in there used to be corrals. That's where the cows and pigs and sheep and horses that were brought here for slaughter, that's the area that it used to be. Now, if you can think about the magnitude of it, we're talking about 10 square blocks on either direction. So can you just imagine just the stench thick in the air?
How far back do you go? About 100 years, maybe?
100 years, yeah. Well, what I understand, the first migration of work for the Mexican community in Chicago came through the steel mills. And then the second was migration out of the steel mills to work in the stockyards, to come and work in this community.
So always blue collar, lots of work.
But it's also if you think about the people that were migrating, there were people from rural Mexico, not necessarily from cities of Mexico. They were migrating here because they knew the work, right? You're hardworking, You know, you work with your hands, and in the stockyards is a natural progression for the history of, you know, of meat in America. You know,
Makes sense.
Cowboys
Yeah,
came
yeah,
from
yeah.
Mexico. The idea of cowboys is a Mexican thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. So it was very easy for them. Like, let's work at the stockyards.
Mexicans started arriving in Chicago by the trains that connected Mexico with the industrial Midwest. Like almost any other immigrant group, they came to Chicago to work. By the 1920s, there were already Spanish masses in the archdiocese, and there were definitely neighborhoods that were starting to form Mexican communities. The mural behind me is a painting by a Mexican muralist, Hector Duarte. Our city has many of his works. The mural depicts Gulliver and really sort of depicted the Mexican community. In other words, it's a giant who wakes up in a foreign land, and it takes a while for this giant to understand what's going on and what are the differences. The Mexican community is seen as a giant in Chicago because there's over 1.7 million in the metropolitan area. Unfortunately, one of the downsides of Chicago is that it is a very segregated city. It has a lot of negative things about it, but obviously one of the silver linings is that if you stay in a neighborhood and you share churches and stores and restaurants, the culture stays intact.
Right now, I'm heading to see my friend Diana. She has this incredible neighborhood spot called Mi Tocaya, and today we're gonna work on the menu to celebrate her 1-year anniversary. Hola.
Hey.
How are you?
Like, for me?
Flowers. Congratulations.
Thank you.
1 year. Diana is super talented, but she's also focusing on transforming how her guests will think about Mexican food, and she really represents the next generation of exciting Mexican-American chefs. How's it going?
It's going well. I love
You
this
look
coat.
great.
Thank
Please,
you.
please, please. I'm ready to cook.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
I'm Diana Davila from Mi Tocaya Antojeria in Chicago. I am first-generation Mexican from here in Chicago. A lot of times when you ask someone who's Mexican or of Mexican heritage, where do you go for Mexican food? What's your favorite restaurant? And a lot of times you get the same answer, La casa de mi mamá, de mi tía, de mi abuela. And I really want to kind of have that be Mi Tocaya, but also I want to take that and grow. I'd like to think that I'm sort of a licuadora of Mexican traditions and Mexican food. I have really combined how generation upon generation, how women cook for their families with the techniques of creativity as a professional cook. I take traditional recipes and want to make it into my own. I have 2 children, I'm a wife, I'm a daughter, I'm a sister. Here, you know, Mi Tocaya really almost embodies like the superwoman that I want to be, where I get to put all of them together and be my super self.
What's the dish that we're doing today? I want to get into this. I want to know, I want to learn. So tell me, what are we doing?
Okay, well, you're gonna take on mole verde.
Mole verde.
Yes.
I love that. Some green mole. That's nice.
Yes, I'm taking it easy on you. It's one of the easier moles.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
But it's really herbaceous. It's not so known, and
Yeah.
I feel like it's perfect.
Absolutely. Because I think when people think here of mole, it's like, oh, it's the sauce with a chocolate into it.
Mole really actually just means a concoction of many ingredients and a balance.
I love like this is a mole with not a lot of ingredients, and there's still 20 ingredients here.
Yes,
so
yes,
that's good.
yes.
What do we do? Do we roast them? Do we char them? What do we do?
That's exactly right. So we're gonna take these tomatillos. Let's soak them in a little bit of cold water.
Okay.
Just so we could kind of release them from its husks.
Was this your auntie's recipe? Is this yours? I mean, who taught you how to cook this food? Because you're basically a Southside girl. That's it, right?
No, that's not it. I'm a creative person. Don't put baby in a corner. So, you know, they're not really even necessarily recipes. You know, there's many times I found myself asking my aunts or my mom, anybody in the family, well, ¿cómo haces esto? You know, like, well, how do you make this? And the first response is always like, I don't know, what do you mean? Because, you know, most of the time they're recipes that they've been doing, dishes, I should say, that they've been doing. So really, I create the recipe. They inspire them.
Yeah. They've just been doing it as a family
yeah,
tradition.
because I'm like, well, how much chicken stock or how this? And they'll just be like, well, the pot that I always use.
Yeah.
You know, sort of a thing. So I feel like it always starts off that way.
Do you want to keep the poblanos whole, or how do you want to?
Yeah, you know, I always kind of like to keep them whole
Yep.
and just blister them straight onto the grill. So we have our pepitas. We're gonna get a nice toast.
Nice. Growing up, was there a Mexican chef that you admire?
No, I wouldn't say that there is a Mexican chef that I admired. You know, I think the thing about Mexican food, you know, it really comes from the women. You know,
Yeah,
it comes from
I
the
love it.
women. You know, in Mexico, it's still about 95%, you know, the women making
Yeah,
the food
sure.
in the family, for the family. You know, my mother also watches my kids, will babysit, and she cooks as well. And my daughter came to me and she's like, hey, mama makes that too. Like, so it was it almost made me cry because it's like, here, it's right there, you know, like 3 generations right there. And so, like, that's why I like having them help me in the kitchen, because they're gonna have that same feeling and they're going to maybe one day make certain dishes as well that we make. So here we have all of our vegetables, our tomatillos, our
Nice.
red onions, our poblanos.
That's great. Smell that. Wow.
Yes. So we're gonna add that to our witchcraft.
That smells really, really good.
Perfect.
Diana's work is so important because she really helped us reimagine what Mexican food can be. Why do we have to always think about Mexican food as cheap? Not looking at the labor it took, the ingredients that are being used.
Every sauce really in Mexican food is almost like a brew, where you keep on adding to the pot.
And the sauce in Mexican food, it's not a side dish. It's a big character.
It is the dish.
It is the dish, right? Wow.
Yes.
That's really, really cool. And I don't think people really understand how much everything's been roasted, everything has been grilled just to get that flavor.
Yes.
It's super complex.
So a lot of times people are like, oh, well, it's something easy I could do at home. I'm like,
For me, food and politics and policies are very linked. It's a value proposition about who we value as trade partners.
I've got chicken stock right here.
When you look at Chinese food, it has to be cheap, but Japanese food can be expensive. When we think about Mexican food, it has to be cheap, but Spanish food can be expensive. Ooh, I'm so excited. We've done this for generations. And that's why it's very difficult then to just say, my food should be at this level.
So what we want to do basically is just let them kind of steep together. And you're concentrating, you're simmering.
How much you want me to use?
All of it.
All of it, nice.
There could never be too much mole.
I second that. I mean, these flavors are already incredible.
Right, I agree. Like, I feel like, you know, if I was the one that first invented mole verde, I'd be like, what? You know, you could stop right here, but no, they wanted to take it to that next level.
But you can't really rush this. This takes time, you know? And if you want for something really, really good with depth in flavor, not just heat and a little bit of sour or salt, the depth in here is amazing.
This is really the last step. We're gonna let that simmer.
Nice.
You know, when we talk about complexity and thoughtfulness, you really have to dedicate the time to make it. In Mi Tocaya, that's really what I want to share.
Well, congrats. 1 year anniversary, you're doing it. Congratulations, big deal, right?
It is a very big deal. Thank you. I made it.
You did, absolutely. To make such an authentic place like Mi Tocaya, you really need access to the most incredible ingredients that you can find in Mexico, of course, and in Chicago. Diana's found that.
Buenas tardes. ¿Te gusta probar algo? Me dice.
Me da un poquito de este queso.
This is the Cremería La Ordeña #1. We basically sell products originally from Mexico. Cremería came from dairy products, but our customers had asked to bring more products from Mexico, and we have added the dry chiles, 20 varieties of moles, and obviously all the dairy cheeses, creams, and chorizo, sausages, and a lot of varieties of beans. We have real Mexican ingredients. People can find here real Mexican heritage. Knowing how parents and grandparents find nostalgia in all the ingredients that they can find here, that could transport them to the original regions in Mexico. At the beginning, the person who were shopping were first generation Mexicans, but now we have discovered that young Mexican Americans shop here, and we have enjoyed being part of this little story here in Chicago.
The fact that the Mexican-American community has been there for over 100 years and stayed intact really shows how successful the older generation have been in nurturing the next generation of Mexican-Americans in Chicago to hold on to its history, its culture, and food.
Estamos en Carnitas Uruapan, en el barrio de Pilsen. Yo empecé con mi papá a enseñarme a preparar carnitas porque yo no me gustaba ir a la escuela. Desde los 8 o 10 años me empezó a enseñar. Y desde ahí pues le seguí, hasta que seguí toda mi vida haciendo carnitas. Mi hijo está siguiendo la misma tradición que yo aprendí con mis padres. Pero retirarme, no. Pues cómo me voy a retirar si soy bien feliz aquí con mis clientes, hablando con las personas, haciendo mis carnitas, conviviendo con las personas que tengo muchos años conviviendo, que ellos estaban chicos cuando vinieron, ahora ya están grandes y me buscan. Esa es mi mejor alegría.
Carnitas is like reaching pork heaven. First of all, they are simmered in fat, right? In French, you would call it confit. They're simmered for hours. When done right, it's both juicy, crispy, crunchy, all at the same time.
Ooh. Your carnitas have arrived.
Looking good.
Fiesta.
Fiesta, exactly.
Tenemos carnitas, shoulder,
Yeah.
costilla, cuero y buche y hungry.
Let's eat.
Y hambre. So get a little bit of the skin, cueritos,
Cueritos,
a little bit of the
costillitas.
shoulder in there.
Yeah. But I love the jelly part. Like that's
Yeah.
full of what gives the texture. So
That fattiness, that's
The
adds a
fatness,
lot of
exactly.
flavor, yeah. And a little bit of the ribs.
I don't think you can eat better than this. Honestly.
See, you're digging right in with your
How can
hands,
you eat?
yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I like this salsa with it.
Yeah.
This salsa has a lot of jalapenos with the vinegar in it.
Mm-hmm.
So some of that, the acidity of the salsa cuts right through some of the fattiness
Yeah.
of the pork. Just juicy.
It's so beautiful. The way the meat is prepared, not a ton of sauce. It's the meat. All the labor in the meat is there. I love it. It's fantastic. It's fantastic. I have to ask, we eat authentic Mexican food today because of people like your father. So when he hears that in this climate that on national TV that Mexicans, immigrants are bad, or how does it must feel so bad for him.
Pues escucha, nosotros venimos a trabajar, a ser positivos, a trabajar a Estados Unidos. Ahora nos tienen en otra forma, como que no somos buenas personas. Pero yo siento que este país está compuesto por inmigrantes, como todos.
Yeah.
You know, at times we're not portrayed that way, and it's, you know, the focus is shifting and looking at us in a different lens. But, you know, we're here.
Contributing,
you know,
amazing.
Contributing, yeah.
Importante, en el área que tú estés, trata bien las personas, te van a tratar bien las personas. Como tú quieras que te traten, trata a las personas. No veas color, no distingas nada. Todos somos iguales.
I think especially for your business owners, like that energy that you put out is exactly what comes right back.
El color de la sangre de todos es roja.
There's a tendency to generalize and stigmatize a whole group of people. These people are just one thing, when we know it's layered and complex. But these broad strokes makes the conversation we need to have about poverty, crime, and violence much harder. In a city like Chicago, we have to have a conversation about gang violence and gun violence. And to learn more about that, I want to talk to somebody that grew up in this environment. So I'm about to meet Mr. Rapper Tokyo. So how long have you guys been doing music? How long? How did you come up with it? How did you start?
My abuelo on my mother's side, he was a famous musician in Mexico, so he used to like teach people music, and so I have music in my blood.
Tokyo is one of the members of Say Money, a hip-hop collective that also includes Vic Mensa and Chance the Rapper. So let us know a little bit about your background, because you both have Mexican and Japanese, is that right?
My mom spoke Spanish, but my father spoke English because he grew up in Chicago.
Yeah.
So my dad's a Japanese dude from Chicago.
You're so lucky. You have the best food culture.
Yeah. It's lit. We be having sushi and tamales at our Christmas.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
If we go back a little bit, everyone knows Shy now from movies, from the TV show, from the music, and there's always been gangs here from way going back.
It's
to
the gang culture,
yeah. As young guys coming up, how did you guys stay away from that? Was music a big part of that, or?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Chicago's a city of gangsters. You can't beat them, then you join them. If I didn't have that, I could have went the wrong way.
The music, in many ways, gave you the path, and it's interesting. Like I grew up in Sweden. Sports always saved me. Like there's always something that, as a kid, you can hold on to, that like make you see the light.
Like nowadays, it's like just neighborhoods and groups of people. But you could be walking down the street and have your life threatened. It could be any situation. You could have on the wrong color, the wrong hat, anything. And sometimes they're not even trying to hear you. I feel like every person who lives here experiences it.
It's either like you join them or you gotta figure it out.
Or you getting robbed and staying, like, you know what I'm saying?
I just want to ask you guys, as big as you guys made it, you still would pick Chicago as your home. You wouldn't leave,
for sure.
right? But do you think like a word like Chirac, for example, does it bother you, or is it offensive to you guys that are from here, or do you actually like that might be what it is?
That's like, this is negative connotation.
Yeah,
But the publications love using the word, though.
Yeah.
And that came from the facts of there being more killings in Chicago at the time than there was in Iraq. And that's a very sad thing.
With that, you take that motivation to understand all that mess that's going on.
Yeah.
You bring that to the studio, try to, clear your head. And through that, you just got to find that energy to pull through. You know what I'm saying?
So the music comes out of that.
Yeah.
I think everything comes out of it, because everybody's, they live in like they just know that nothing's promised.
No promise. For kids growing up with negative influences, it's really important to find a pathway out. For me, it was soccer and cooking. For Tokyo, it was rap. And for a group of kids in Little Village, it's boxing. In the basement of this church, Gabriel has a boxing club. It's really an incredible after-school program, a place to learn about life skills, about respect, about self-defense, working together as a team.
What's up, Marcus?
What's up, man? How are you? Good to see you, man.
Good.
You have all kinds of youth in here.
All kind of youth, all ages from 8 all the way up to 17, 18.
That's awesome. I mean, we're in the South Side. It's pretty well known now. There's all kinds of activities, whether it's gangs or whether it's other stuff. How do you keep them off from right and wrong? You know what I mean? You're not with them 24/7. So.
I'm not with them 24/7, but the parents are helping me. With myself and the parents' help, we can make a big difference.
That's awesome, man.
So you want to suit up and get
let's suit up, man.
All right, let's go. Let me get you some gloves. Right, block, hook. Good. Jab right. Block, right. 1, 2. Good job.
How often have you heard of shooting here in your neighborhood?
There's about a good 2 shootings every week.
So 2 shootings a week, that's about 100 shootings in a year.
Right.
You know, that must, wow. That's unbelievable.
That's a lot. Little Village is a great place. It's just the violence and the gangs.
Yeah.
I try to stay away from that. I try to get a ride to the gym, ride home. I try not to walk a lot.
Wow.
And I just gotta look out for my surroundings a lot. I got friends who gangbang, and I don't follow their footsteps, so I go my own path.
You guys are brave, you know, because it's harder to be different. It's harder to step out and go your own path.
Yeah, it really
it's
is.
easier just to follow. It takes a lot of heart, a lot of corazon to do what you guys do. I want to see you guys in 2020 Olympics.
That's the goal.
That's the goal. Why not? Dream big.
That's what
That's
we're fighting
what
for.
we're
Good.
fighting for.
I wish you all the best, and I'm so proud of you, man.
Thank you.
Every kid needs role models, somebody to look up to. There's a chef in Chicago that helps young cooks to really aspire to think on a higher level and to cook with really high techniques to be excellent.
My name is Carlos Gaitan. I do modern Mexican with French techniques. There is a new group of chefs that we want to try to showcase food that you find now in Mexico. This is our Mexican cuisine. We do not know what's margaritas and guacamole, basically, because we have such an amazing culture and amazing dishes that people don't realize that exist. Those flavors, you know, that when I grow up, when I was a kid, and bring it over to Chicago, you decide to step out of the box and do something different, you're gonna find yourself that you did something great. Hello, hello. Wow, what's going on in here? It smells so good.
How are you? Carlos Gaitan is amazing. He was the first Mexican-American chef to get a Michelin star. So Carlos is very important in what a next-generation Mexican chef can taste like.
That smells so good in here.
It's good, right?
Mole for us is very traditional, ceremonial. So this is called mole ceremonial michoacano.
Okay, mole.
Ceremonial.
Ceremonial
Michoacano.
Wow.
Michoacano.
How about the tamales? She's gonna be making her tamales.
Yes.
And I'm gonna make my own tamales.
You know how lucky I am? This is like, I'm not a tamale tasting. I'm lucky one today.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I'm in the kitchen with two very skillful chefs teaching me two different takes on tamales.
We are making corundas.
Corundas.
So it's a traditional tamal from Michoacán.
Simba Perez is this traditional pre-Spanish chef, which means that their recipes are thousands of years old. Tamales can be traced back to 7,000 BC, to the Mayan and the Aztec civilization.
So we have the masa here.
We have the masa, and in the masa we have the corn.
Corn?
You put a little bit of lard.
Nice.
And queso cotija. So you mix everything.
Yeah. What do we got here? What do we call this?
It's metate.
Metate, okay.
Metate is like the traditional blender in Mexico or licuadora.
Wow. These recipes are actually from the native Mexicans, like pre-Spanish, and that's why they're so special. Azimba is really preserving, almost like an historian, a Mexican culture that we may not know enough about.
So instead using, you know, something really dense as the masa, because of the corn is what it happens. So we're gonna do the seafood mousse. It's gonna be more lighter when you cook it. It's gonna be very flappy.
So Carlos is gonna show me how to make his version of tamales. Equally difficult to make, equally sophisticated, but just in a very different methods and techniques.
Go for it. When everything gets together in one bowl on the side is when we start getting the heavy cream.
A little bit of heavy cream. So that's where your French is. Feel you.
Butter, cream.
I love this. This is like, reminds me of France, you know?
Yeah. And the sauce, because I know at Simba she used mole, so we're gonna go more in the French side.
So Carlos is really mixing Mexican traditional food with classic French techniques and ingredients. It's beautiful. It's gonna be great. So what were some of the French restaurants that you worked in when you came as a young chef student and doing?
You know, I work at the Union League Club.
Yeah.
And then from that, I was in charge one time to do a dinner for the French embassy. And then they got nervous when they said it's Mexican, cooking French cuisine. They didn't believe it until, you know, finish everything. And then they offered me a job at a French restaurant.
That's great, right?
Yeah.
When I started cooking in America too, very often they asked, who's the chef? And I was like, I am. And they just wasn't used to see a young black chef.
You know, you have to believe it. We worked really hard.
Yes. Mexican cooks have been the backbones of so many great kitchens. It's very similar to how African Americans came up. Very often, they were the cooks, but they were silent and reached the ceiling. But now what Carlos represents is this new avant. They're saying, yes, we've been the cooks and we've been the backbones, but now we are the chefs. We've taken over. This is our food. This is how I cook. This is a new way of telling a story, and we need more examples like that.
Sometimes you sacrifice great flavors because it's not traditional.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
It gives me the opportunity to use different ingredients, they're not Mexican, different techniques,
Yeah.
and present my food a different way. All right, chefs.
Wow, this is beautiful.
Little sauce.
Now, this is a stunning dish.
Nice and creamy.
Also, we have these beautiful tamales here.
Yes.
Two completely different versions styles of cooking that both honor your home country. And how do we serve them?
Like this. So you can pass me the mole, chef,
Sure.
on the middle.
That looks delicious.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
He like
Chef?
calar de mole.
Yeah.
Yes. I love mole. Sorry, chef.
Oh,
that's
good.
what I
Go.
love. Look at that.
I'm actually going to start with Carlos' dish because
It's lighter.
lighter, yeah.
If you want to go with something,
Yeah.
the flavors.
It look delicious, Carlos. It look like art in a plate.
Mm-hmm.
Arte
But it's
en el
so
plato.
light, so sophisticated. It's a very complex dish with layers, the crab, the citrus, the tomato. I love this. It's like something that was done 3,000 years ago can have a modern interpretation. I love that.
Absolutely.
Very sophisticated.
Balance and everything, flavors, presentation. It's delicious.
When I eat this tamale with the mole, it reminds me a lot of Africa because the chilies are the same and the layers of the sauce is the same as we have in Ethiopia. But the tamale itself is very, very different. Eating with the cheese inside, it adds this sour note that I love, but the mole for me is the star. So it's smoky. It's not actually very spicy.
No.
It's not super spicy, but it's rich and flavorful.
This is a play with a lot of history. It tells me story behind, you know, when I was a kid eating these flavors. I think you did a really great job.
You know, Carlos is teaching not only a new generation, but he's also inspiring new generation Mexican chefs to be modern, to try. But without the history, you can't move forward.
Yeah.
So you both are ambassadors of the culture and just using it in different means, right?
The passion I bring to this country, which is the food.
I've been the benefiter of working with incredible Mexican people for 20 years. So to hear that people are not welcome anymore and that is just nonsense to me.
I'm a big believer. Faith is very important in our country. God has been doing a lot of things through my life. And then one of the things that I'm very sure that He's giving me is a talent. My talent is to make people happy through the things that I do. Now when I'm cooking, when I go represent my cuisine in other countries, I don't represent just one country, it's two countries. You know, whatever I do, they don't mention the Mexican chef from Huitzuco Guerrero. They say the Mexican chef, Carlos Gaitan from Chicago.
Chicago, yeah.
And I do very happy, you know, because I think both countries deserve to be recognized the things that they're doing for us and to help us to be where we are.
Zimba and Carlos are great examples of people that are willing to contribute, but also giving back to America with their skills and their work ethic twofold. But right now, there's a lot of people that their future is very much in the unknown. When programs like DACA is being challenged or there's not been a replacement to it, over 800,000 children and adults don't know what the next step's gonna be. DACA, which means Deferred Action for Childhood Arrival, provides a level of amnesty for people who came to this country as children. And this is the only home that they know as home. To have all that challenged or by the risk of being taken away, it's detrimental. We're playing with people's lives. We're playing with families' lives.
This is sort of like your water hole.
Oh, on my day off, I'm always here. Like, I usually call my mom up and I'm like, hey, do you want to go hang out, grab a drink, listen to some really good music?
You seem to be very close, mom and son. It's a very special
they're very
relationship.
close now. Yeah.
How did you come up in the beverage industry? Was it your mom that got you there, or how did you get there?
I started in high school as a barista in a coffee shop and then moved across the street to a local bar that was opening up.
Yeah.
And I moved my way up from a bar back to a bar manager to a bartender. And now I'm Mitokaya as a beverage director.
That's wonderful.
So we have Siembra Valles. It's a Blanco tequila. So you can definitely smell agave and the citrus that like comes out of it. It's a lot of minerality in it as well. Really, really nice and sweet. This is by far my favorite mezcal, El Gregorio Espadin. It's been aged underground in a glass bottle for 10 years.
Oh, wow. So this is a Mexican version of kimchi. I love it. I love it.
And for mezcal, like, you gotta be really open to the idea that what you're having in your glass right now, you will never ever have again.
Wow.
As you make mezcal, every little small decision that the Maestro Mezcalero makes will affect that flavor profile.
This is beautiful, by the way.
Yes.
It has that bitter note, and then the warmth, where the smokiness is there, but it's very balanced.
Mezcal or tequila, tequila or mezcal, they're both made from agave. Tequila, just like champagne, can only be done in one region, with blue agave from Jalisco. Mezcal can be done with several types of agave anywhere in Mexico. The smokiness that mezcal gets is due to the process. You take the agave and you roast it in a pit. That's where the mezcal gets its smoky and its earthiness from. That's why it tastes a little bit different than the tequila.
You know, you want to savor those flavors and you want to, you know, smell the aromas. We have a lot of like cool things that we can have in between, like citrus and oranges. And a little jicama.
Just to cleanse the palate? Or?
Yeah. I mean, my favorite thing is just munching on chapulines.
Okay, so let's do
please.
that.
Yeah,
Nice.
I like
It's my
it.
favorite.
Not vegan, but delicious.
But delicious. Salud.
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 Ulises, you're a dreamer. You work very, very hard, but the paper might not work out. I mean, we're praying and hoping for it, but
Yeah, it's a very high toss-up.
do you have a plan B?
Make mezcal in Oaxaca?
Not a bad plan B.
It's not a bad plan B, but America is home soil.
When did you come to America?
En 1994.
Okay, so 1994?
1994.
Nice.
In December.
In December.
Yeah. And the bus.
From Mexico City to Chicago? 1 week,
No,
right?
and the.
I mean, it's a
and
tricky
the
it's a tricky conversation
Yes.
because, better lack of words, we jumped the border.
And you were already born? Or not?
Yeah, I was 4 years old.
4 years old.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I vividly remember we like caught on a tree, jumped the
running to
fence,
block the
and then
fence.
ran across a neighborhood to like hide under a house as, you know, immigration cars were running around,
Wow.
like
Weren't you
driving
scared?
around.
You had to be quiet as a
Oh,
child.
very,
Very
quiet.
quiet.
Yeah. But the adrenaline kicked in when we had to run across a bridge to a nearby car that was gonna drive us from Nogales to Arizona, or like
Arizona
nearby
for
town in
Phoenix.
Arizona to Phoenix.
Well, I mean, your story for me, it's so powerful because a lot of people came to this country this way.
Yeah.
And you've been in now 24, 25 years. And you're at this point, you're an American kid. Like, this is your home.
Yeah, I mean, I went to school here, graduated
You
here,
pay taxes
worked
here.
here, I paid taxes here, yeah, for sure.
Everything here is here.
You know, so the day that I did get my DACA approval, and I just kind of like fell to the floor, and I'm like, I can do so much more now.
No more hiding. You were actually you're now
No.
official, and you can actually
Yes, I can
contribute.
drive now.
Yeah.
I can own a car.
Wow. Well, Mom, with all the work, everything you did, was it worth it?
Yes. Oh my God. No sé cómo decirlo.
Dilo en español.
Yeah. Take your time.
¿Valió la pena todo?
Claro. Valió toda la pena. Como todos los inmigrantes, tenemos altas, tenemos bajas. Yo no pensaba venir a este país. Yo no pensaba llegar a pisar esta tierra. Bendita tierra porque me ha dado mucho. Y le ha dado a él muchas cosas en las cuales yo estoy feliz. Estoy feliz de que Dios me haya dado un hijo tan grande como lo que es él. No sé si te puede expresar todo el amor que tengo. Y lo que él es para mí es mi mundo.
That idea of a mother and son crossing a border, hopefully it's going to be better on the other side, but not knowing what's going to happen. It's something that I deeply understand. When I was a young child in Ethiopia, my sister, myself, and my mother, we all had tuberculosis, but my mother walked us to a hospital so we could get help. You know, she sacrificed, she ultimately passed away, but I wouldn't be here if my mom wouldn't have done that sacrifice. Ulysses wouldn't be here contributing, working, and there are many Olivias and Ulysses today, and they deserve a chance.
I identify very much with my culture, and I am Mexican to the fullest. I am 100%. It runs in my blood.
Yeah.
But America is where I'm at. It's where I'm supposed to be. It's what I'm supposed to do. Like this place that we're at, or like the place that I work at, Mi Tocaya, like we have so much more to offer, and we have so much to teach to people. Yeah. There's so much more room to grow.
As a parent and as an immigrant, for me, they're linked as one. They both inspire me to work harder, do more, help others, be a stronger presence in the community, contribute, to be more creative. And that's exactly what Ulysses is doing. And now, Ulysses and I are gonna head over to Mi Tocaya to celebrate the 1-year anniversary.
This is the calabacitas con queso caribe, oven-dried tomatoes that have enchilado in them, and kale.
Thank you, Chef. Diana, she's celebrating with her crew and her family.
But this is a very typical dish my mom used to make. Those are tortitas de carne.
Tortitas de carne.
Yeah, that's a plank steak. Good.
Now I know where Diana got it all from, right?
Well, thank you.
Being part of celebrating is really, really fun. 1 year is a big milestone, and I know that this is just one of many successful years that Mi Tocaya is gonna have. The sense of pride that Diana shares with the staff that they have achieved to create this magical place. So, Chef, this looks amazing. What do we got?
So we have ensalada de nopales. Yeah. So raw cactus that's been brined and limed with raw cauliflower, onions, a little pulled mole amarillo, and chicharrón de pollo, chicken skins.
And what is this? These guys are like amazing.
Aren't they awesome? These are called enfrijoladas. So we take tortillas, we pan fry them, we fold them into these nice triangles with a local black bean sauce, some chorizo, a little bit of queso fresco, some really kind of old school guacamole.
What's the black stuff on top?
Ash.
The ash?
It's the chile seed ash. It just adds this really kind of cool nuttiness, sweetness, a little pre-Hispanic technique. You know, a lot of people think that it's modern, but it's not a modern touch. It's a little bit of the past. And for the main, we have a beautiful heritage roasted chicken with our mole verde that we've been slaying away in the kitchen, and with some arroz casero, some home-style Mexican rice.
Wow. First of all, what a great day to be here. Your 1-year anniversary, and you're doing it with your staff. Having a beautiful staff. I mean, this is the best staff I've ever had.
What a beautiful staff, ride or die?
Right?
I'm sorry, did we startle you? Everybody kind of has a story here. And we ended up just really bonding with the food, really. You know, like when we start talking about, mole verde, nopales, or calabacitas, or fideos, or different people would be like, oh, my mom would make that. You see their eyes light up, and then they want to do it right. They want to do it just. They want to, and they also bring their own experience to it as well. And it just so happened to be like all of a sudden, you know, Yuli walks in the door. I mean, you've met Yuli. He's so learned on all things agave now. He's obsessed. And let's drink.
Yeah.
Well, salud. Buen provecho.
Salud. What do we got here?
Salud.
Salud.
This is an extra añejo tequila. It's been aged for 48 months. As you smell it, you smell all the caramel and vanilla notes. So it's been left in a cast barrel, American white oak. So it's such a beautiful thing.
You know what? Let the rich people have the cognac, and let's just keep this for us, because this is too good. Don't tell anyone. Don't tell anyone.
How you like everything?
The food is amazing.
All the flavors, huh?
I can't even do it justice in words. It's so flavorful.
Good, I'm glad you like it.
Beautiful. I mean, Diana and she's a force. She is fierce and a force. And it's like discovering a young band. It's like imagining in the mid-'80s and Guns N' Roses are playing. That's Mi Tocaya right now. You know, you're not gonna be there and be like, oh, I don't remember if I ate there. You're not gonna say, did I ever meet Diana? You're gonna remember if you ate her food and if you met her.
You know, I really do believe that Mexican food is really underestimated and underrated, you know. But I feel like it's also something that we have to very much hold dear to us.
There you go.
And we have a certain responsibility, not just if Mexican, if it's your culture, if you choose to cook this food because you love it, to do it justice.
I don't think any country has given us so much food, amazing food, as our neighboring country, Mexico. The techniques and the history that goes into it, from carnitas,
It's so beautiful.
to tacos. This is the perfect bite. God, it's good. Goes to moles.
He like calar de mole.
To different ways of thinking about breads and sauces. It's super complex.
It's not easy. You really have to dedicate the time to make it.
So now, when we finally start to fully understand it, let's appreciate it. And also let's appreciate the incredible stories and individuals.
Good color, eh?
Oh,
Everybody like taco. You cook Mexican great tacos now.
Muchas gracias. Mexican Americans have strengthened and shaped and innovated for years. And their love for America is shown in their entrepreneurship, in their jobs that they're doing. Salud.
Salud.
With a lot of hope, dignity, and desire, and just contributing. What are we doing?
Salsa guaracha, what?
I want the Mexican version.
And it's very different.
Show me.
Just do it. Just do
¿Me
it.
vas a?
Pum, 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 pum.
No, no pum pum.
I love it.
Look this one.
Boom. Boom.
No, porque de caché es this one here. That's
Listen, we
very
need to drink some more
different.
tequila, okay?
Okay, good.
Before we start
Perfect.
dancing.
I agree.